Hello everybody and welcome to the second weekend of the FIA ETRC Digital Championship. This weekend we're at Misano, normally hot and sunny weather, spectacular racing as well, and you can expect exactly the same in a virtual world with a dry road in prospect and the real question as to whether anybody is going to be able to beat Norbert Kish. He was the man in dominant form last time out at the Hungaroring. Yes, he came from a sim racing background, but he was just dominant. Pole position in Super Pole and then 2 race wins have put Norbert Kish into a comfortable lead in the championship. Now, since then, quite a few of the drivers, Antonio Albacete amongst them, for example, have been doing an awful lot of extra preparation, an awful lot more time on the sim. Therefore, that gap, hopefully, this evening should be just a little bit less between Norbert Kish and the opposition. We've gained one extra driver, the Brit, Brieton, who has been a race winner within the FIA ETRC. He is on the grid this evening, but Norbert Kish is still the man in charge. And the trucks are on track already because they're having their qualifying laps. And that's going to determine the grid for the opening race, of course, with the results of race 1 sorting out the grid for race 2 with the traditional top 8 reversed. So when we get to race 1, the closing stages, it's going to be fascinating to see who is going to be in that 8th spot, because that's going to be pole position for the second race of the evening. A man with a point to prove, perhaps after the Hungaroring, is Adam Lachko, European champion, because he ran out of fuel late race in race 2. So that's something else to factor into a digital world. And we'll see how he fares this evening as well in one of the 3 Bagheera Racing Freightliners. But it was one of his teammates, Theo Calvate, who was one of the real stars of the Hungaroring, promoted to 2nd place after a penalty for Sasha Lentz in race 2. And Theo Calvate, I think, is going to be a major thorn in the side of Norbert Kish this evening. For the rest of the entry, well, it's many of the familiar drivers. Antonio Albacete, for example, is a multiple European champion, taking on Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who again was impressive at the Hungaroring in the opening 2 races. Alia Koroc, whose father is a former European champion, she made her virtual track racing debut in advance of real-world track racing debut later in the season. And Alia Koroc was on the front row of the grid for race 2. And as I say, you've got Brieton on the grid this evening, taking on fellow countryman Jamie Anderson as well. So the Misano circuit is our destination for this evening. And as I say, the truck's already getting in some practice laps in anticipation of the Super Pole, and then to determine the grid ready for our opening race of the evening. So let's head trackside and have a look at what's going on. Kish then rides truck number 40, and he is not only the man to beat, the championship leader, but currently with a bit of a point to prove because he's only 6th in the times. But the truck on its last lap does now go to top, so things updating, and Norbert Kish therefore putting himself up towards the pointy end of the grid here from Sasha Lentz. And then you've got Jose Eduardo Rodriguez currently 3rd ahead of Theo Calvate, although the graphic on the screen not quite matching what is on for the moment, the live timing page that we have, but that will turn itself around in due course as you look here at heading towards us. Antonio Albacete, behind him is Sasha Lentz. Now, Norbert Kish, 0.6 of a second out of the good, courtesy of that last lap. Brieton, as I was saying earlier on, rejoining European truck racing, and Brieton will be another driver to keep an eye to. There going through is Sasha Lentz, and he is currently, 0.6 back. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 3rd, Theo Calvate 4th, Anthony Zhenyak is 5th quickest, Antonio Albacete is 6th at the moment. So riding on board with Antonio Albacete, comes over the timing line and then down towards the tight first sequence of corners there. Has to wriggle his way through the Variante del Parco, and the speed builds on the way up towards turn 4. Hard on the brakes, turn into forward, tightens into another right at turn 5, then you go left in a moment at turn 6. The road just starts to open up in front of you, but then speed really does start to build as they power their way down towards turn 8 at Quechua, under the Goodyear Bridge. Zhenyak Albuquerque here, looking rapid. Norbert Kish still the driver with that top time, 2 minutes 1.226. But behind him, Lentz, Rodriguez, Calvate, Zhenyak, Albuquerque and Anderson the order. Adam Lachko hunting to try and find some time if he can from somewhere. And there you see Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, third fastest now as he comes towards us. His target is Sasha Lentz, but he's got to find 1.1 seconds to get onto terms with Lentz here. Rodriguez was impressive in the opening 2 races that we had at the Hungaroring, with a 7th and a 6th, neither of which really indicate true pace. Certainly, of course, in the second race he had a time penalty, so it's perhaps a little unfair to judge him purely on that, but he comes now up towards Misano curve through turn 16 and now makes the run once more up towards the timing line. So Rodriguez goes by, but stays third fastest on that lap, doesn't improve. The clock ticks on down into the last minute of the session as you see there number 6, Anthony Zhenyak, come through. So up towards the timing line goes Zhenyak, up to 4th and ahead therefore of fellow countryman Theo Calvate in this French battle that we're having now. So Norbert Kish it is, who is the fastest, 2 minutes 1.226 then from Sasha Lentz, 2 minutes 1.858, and then Jose Eduardo Rodriguez next in the queue, 2 minutes 3.010. This is a sideways. Theo Calvate pressing on as he heads now up towards the completion of what's going to be possibly his last lap. I'm not convinced he can squeeze one more out of this. The flag is at the ready, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second on the clock. Up towards the timing line comes Calvate, and there is the flag. And as he goes across the line, does he improve to get himself back onto the second row of the grid? Seemingly, the answer is going to be no. So Theo Calvate will end up 5th fastest. Anthony Zhenyak comes up towards the timing line now as well. And Zhenyak ends up 4th. There's Antonio Albuquerque, who is going to be somewhat frustrated looking at this because Albuquerque has fallen to 6th in the times. But Norbert Kish it is from that man, Sasha Lentz. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 3rd, Anthony Zhenyak 4th, 5th Theo Calvate, 6th Antonio Albuquerque. Jamie Anderson taking 7th ahead of Adam Lachko, quite a long way back. 9th is Alia Koloc, 10th Clement Secker, 11th will be Shane Brieton. And Irving Klein-Nagelvoort should be the other driver for the grid, but he, I fear, has not made it out. So 11 we have once more, Irving Klein-Nagelvoort, the one absentee. So, looking good for Norbert Kish yet again, isn't he? He's going to start from exactly where he needs to be, ahead of everybody else on the grid. Already he makes his way down the pit lane then, and Norbert Kish ends the qualifying session, ends on pole position. So Norbert Kish, the fastest. And so drivers now will reset, ready for the first of the 2 races coming up from Misano this evening, with the MAN of Norbert Kish, of course, now being run by his own team. Part of the winter program for Norbert Kish has been to move away from the Tank-Performance Fansig Mercedes squad to start his own outfit. So a huge amount of work has gone on, not only getting ready for a digital championship, but in the real world as well, to pull together this whole new package. Norbert, of course, is a former champion, but very frustrated over the last couple of 3 seasons not to have had better results in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, the 2014-2015 champion, trying to bounce back this season, come out all guns blazing and looking to try to hit the ground running with real world wins as well as digital championship wins. But so far, so good for Norbert Kish, the fastest at the Hungaroring, and 2 wins there, and now fastest here in the qualifying session as well. So all good thus far for Norbert Kish. He starts then on that pole position with Sasha Lentz for company on the front row of the grid. Row 2, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and then Anthony Zhenyak. Now, what about Anthony's chances this evening? Because he was another driver that showed really good pace, really good speed last time out at the Hungaroring. He ended up with a 3rd and a 5th, 3rd in the opening race. So it was on the reverse grid race, in fact, that Anthony Zhenyak, former French Formula 3 frontrunner, struggled to make the progress. But for this opening race here, lining up on row 2, that's looking pretty good for Anthony Zhenyak. He is, as I say, ahead of his fellow countryman, Theo Calvate, on the next slot on the grid. So when we get ready to go racing, it will be a 25-minute time slot. Bear in mind as well that the race duration will include the pace lap. So lap 1 is a notional lap, but the pace lap will count within the race duration. So we're getting ready for race 1 of the 2 here at Misano. Before we go racing, let's have a look at this fine Italian venue.
Welcome to Misano! Benvenuti a Misano!
So that is what Misano looks like. The drivers are about to have to focus on a virtual version of it. Sims at the ready. So the grid, subject to any qualifying penalties that we're not aware of thus far, so all seems good, will be formed. It's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see how Shane Brieton gets on. Shane, who began his motorsport career in British stock car racing and then national hot rod racing. He's raced in pickups before coming into truck racing. He's 2 races behind everybody else in terms of sim racing experience. How will he fare with the extra seat time over the course of the evening? Norbert Kish then starts as the big favourite, 6/10 quicker than anybody else in qualifying. And we'll find out whether he is able to run away and take 1, maybe 2 more wins this evening. Now, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez did qualify 3rd, but times disallowed, we understand, for not having Skype and TeamSpeak activated, which are the platforms for the race organisers to speak to the driver and vice versa. So although Jose Eduardo Rodriguez was out on track, the race officials unable to converse with him, and therefore part of the penalty charter for that is that you have your lap times disallowed. So straight away, the grid is going to be shuffled. It will bring Theo Calvate up a row. It puts Jose Eduardo Rodriguez to the very back. And it also means we're now going to see a really quick driver have to force his way through from the very rear of the grid. Going to be really interesting now to see how this pans out for Jose Eduardo Rodriguez going into the first of the 2 races. So Norbert Kish is the man in charge. He's the man on pole position yet again. He will have with him at the front of the grid Sasha Lentz, but then now Anthony Zhenyak moves up to 3rd on the grid as we get set for the opening race of the evening. The FIA ETRC Digital with races still to come, of course, at the Slovakia Ring, at the Nürburgring, which is the home of its biggest real-world event, the German Truck Grand Prix. Then it will go to the Czech Republic virtually, to go to Most, to Zolder, to Le Mans and Jarama. And all of that takes us to the middle of August, when some real-world racing will be back in business. And we look forward to real-world truck racing being underway as well by then. So fingers crossed. But that's the timetable for the rest of the year. And the digital championship will come to an end in mid-August, with Jarama being the final rounds. Okay, we talked a little bit about some of the drivers. We've talked about what's been going on in that qualifying session. Let's have a look at the spotter guide and go through the grid as we get set for race one. Let's pick out some of the stars, pick out where they're going to be after the qualifying session, bearing in mind it's all now shuffled. Well, Antonio Albafetti is a three-time champion, and he is the man that drives the number 2 T-Sport Bernau MAN. Lutz Bernau's team merging with T-Sport for this year. Anthony Zhenyak, double French champion, drives number 6, the yellow MAN. Anthony Zhenyak, who came from karting into Formula Renault and then into Formula 3. Andre Kurzim, not quite ready to go racing yet. He's registered for the championship. He only got his sim the day before the opening race and still doesn't feel quite ready. Scrub him. Irving Klein-Nagelvoort, we did see at the Hungaroring, but we didn't see him out in the qualifying session. Irving Klein-Nagelvoort, the Dutch privateer, got a 10th and a 9th in Hungary with the Scania, but missing certainly qualifying. Hopefully he might be able to get to the back of the grid. Let's see. Shane Brieton makes his digital debut in the MAN with its Apollo Tyres sponsorship that joined him last year. And the quick Brit will be one to watch, moving his way up from near the back of the grid. We now know, of course, that there's going to be Jose Eduardo Rodriguez behind him. So that is page 1 of the Spotter's Guide, but page 2 has some very impressive drivers as well. Take Theo Calvate, for example, switching to the Freightliner squad in the Bagheera Racing camp. His father, Fabien Calvate, organizer, successful racer, and indeed the French commentator for the purposes of the digital championship. Theo Calvate began as a 16-year-old at Nogaro, and the former motocrosser, 3rd in the French championship a couple of years ago. Jamie Anderson began in rallies before moving to truck racing, and Jamie was quick but unlucky in the races at the Hungaroring. Clemens Hecker has been a regular in Dutch events, in the British Truck Racing Association events, and also the Mittelrhein Cup at the German Grand Prix. His MAN, privately entered rig. And then you have 16-year-old Alia Koloc, who is a former karter, but daughter of European champion Martin Koloc, just 16 years of age. Sasha Lentz in the SL Truck Sport MAN, and he is a regular in the ETRC. Sasha, who started winning races a couple of years ago, perennial underdog, but now very much one of the front runners, 5th in the European Championship last year. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez then, now put to the back of the grid, and see what progress can be made from there with the Revo Connaught MAN. Norbert Kisch in the Revesh TRT truck, we've talked about already, his new team, and the former sim racer turned Astra Cup champion, Clio Cup Hungary champion, Seat Leon Cup champion, Suzuki champion, and then double European truck racing champion, takes on Adam Lachko, the champion in 2017. But Adam, somebody else that's come from car racing, initially in the likes of the Skoda Octavia Cup. He raced for a time in FIA GT, Carrera Cup Germany, came into truck racing in 2013, but has been a mainstay ever since, and indeed the European champion in 2017. So those are the drivers you will also, of course, see ready to go racing the Mercedes Actros, which is the pace truck that will be part of the lineup, and it has a real world driver. It's not put into the game. It will have a real world driver to control the pace of everybody else behind. Rolf Werner and his team in race control, making sure now that the drivers are good to go. And then in about 5 minutes' time, they will be released onto the grid, ready to go racing. And this will, as I say, put into context where Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is going to be, with quite a lot of work to do now from the very back of this grid. The Misano circuit then, it is tight, it is twisty, but it will give spectacular racing. And Norbert Kish, if he can make the break at the start, is going to be hard to catch. That, I suspect, is going to be the story of race one. But behind him, you've got a lot of very quick drivers all arguing over second, third, fourth, and back. We had some great racing at the Hungaroring, another circuit where overtaking is not that easy. And in the big rigs, let's see what is going to give. First of all, they've got to get through the first sequence of corners, turns 1, 2, and 3, making up that chicane into the Variante del Parco. After that, they can get on the power, make the run along that short straight to turn number 4. Get around that safely, then you've got a real chance of starting to make a move on the long, fast straight down to turn 8, or indeed try to break away from the opposition. Let's see what pans out on the opening lap as the drivers then get themselves ready for this third race, the second weekend within the FIA ETRC Digital Championship from Misano. Norbert Kish comes here as the championship leader, double winner at the Hungaroring. Sasha Lentz comes here second, 13 points back, so he's got some work to do. Theo Calvate is a further 2 points back from Sasha. Then it is Anthony Zhenyak fourth, Antonio Albacete fifth, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez sixth. Adam Lachko, bear in mind, seventh, did not finish the second race at the Hungaroring, and you must take the checkered flag, even though he would have been a notional ninth in the classification. Because he hadn't crossed the line to take the flag, he wasn't awarded the extra point. So Adam Lachko comes here on 6 points, equal with Jamie Anderson, rather than being on the 7 had he taken the checkered flag. So drivers learning a little bit about sim racing, having to do all the work themselves, really, in terms of setup and fueling. And that's what cost, in fact, Jamie Anderson in race 1 and Adam Lachko in race 2 as well. So as far as points in the championship are concerned, Adam giving away a huge number to Norbert Kish. Antonio Albacete is going to be worth watching, though, around here. And bear in mind that Norbert Kish was a real world race winner 12 months ago. He won race 3, in other words, from a qualifying session set grid on pole position, just like we just had now. He's going to take some stopping, it would seem, when we go racing. And that will be in a few moments' time, because very shortly, the Ford F-Max, the official truck of the FIA ETRC, will hit the track. And once that has done its lap, so the Mercedes Actros pace truck will lead the field around. The grid decided, as I say, by those times set in the qualifying session, with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez now having his lap times cancelled due to Skype and TeamSpeak not working. So assuming that message has been able to get through to him now, then he'll be at the back, and we'll see what he can do from there to try and work his way up the order. But it won't be easy. He's got some quick people to find a way past. And is this going to give an even bigger opportunity now to Theo Calvate? Puts him onto the second row of the grid, and Theo Calvate up alongside Anthony Zhenyak. So those two French drivers now on the second row of the grid. I think they're going to make some progress forward, but it's going to be Kish versus Lentz from the front row on the run down towards the first corner. So with Norbert Kish getting set to try to maintain this lead in the championship, Sasha Lentz, who said after the Hungaroring that he'd had no sim racing experience up until then. Well, he certainly belied that lack of experience. Sasha, remember, mighty strong in the opening race when he chased after Norbert Kish, took second, and he was second on the road in the second race, but a time penalty dropped him in the end, 5-second penalty, to third position, elevating Theo Calvate. So Sasha Lentz, for a sim novice, proving that he's got the ability, got the pace. Let's see whether he can take another step forward this evening in these virtual Misano races. Anthony Zhenyak and Theo Calvate both raced hard in the last races at the Hungaroring. More of the same to come this evening, no doubt. And then you've also got the likes of Antonio Albacete with a point to prove. And, of course, now Jose Eduardo Rodriguez coming up from the rear of the grid. So we have the order set. We have the drivers getting themselves ready. And now the countdown, as would be in real-world racing, being given by race control. And so effectively now we're at the 5-minute board. The grid would be cleared. All personnel have to make their way back into the pit lane. And of course, in real world track racing, often to their spotters' perches. You can't stand on the pit wall under the safety requirements for track racing. So quite a lot of the teams have a spotter that watches in the media centre in order to relay messages to drivers, to give a précis of what's going on around them on the circuit if the driver needs an extra pair of eyes, and to get as good a vantage point as it's possible, really, elevated in order to follow the race for the team. So, as the 5-minute board has been shown, at the 4-minute board, the drivers will be getting set, and we will now turn the track to the Ford F-Max, the official truck of the championship.
The show is on. Start your engines. FIA ETRC is ready to race.
Is the grid being formed with Norbert Kish, the man lining up on pole position, Sasha Lentz alongside, and then for the third slot, Calvate has appeared, or it should be Anthony Zhenyak, should it not, to be on the inside of that row of the grid. So there'll be a little bit of shuffling, I think, within the driver's servers once everybody is set good to go. Norbert Kish then for pole position, having been the star of qualifying, although that graphic suggesting that he's going to be second on the grid. So we'll double check exactly who is going to start where. Norbert's best time that we were given was a 2 minutes 1.226, and Sasha 2 minutes 1.858. So all being well, that grid will be put into formation in a moment or two before we get action underway. The Mercedes Actros, which is the pace truck, will lead them away in a moment. You can see at the back of the grid, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, set to go. There he is, lining up alongside Shane Brieton. But Rodriguez, yes, there's Anthony Zhenyak at the back, needing to get himself into position. Though the grid's slightly jumbled at the moment, but very shortly things will be good to go here at Misano. So there is the Mercedes Actros, the official pace truck of the FIA ETRC, and that will lead the field around very shortly once the command is given from Rolf Werner and the team in race control. The driver's able to hear him via TeamSpeak and Skype, and so as the lights flick to the green, that means that now everybody accelerates away. Now, why is Anthony Zhenyak starting at the back of the grid is a puzzlement. pace truck works its way through the field. So Zhenyak perhaps has had a penalty that we've not caught up on, but so now the pace truck gets to the front. And so now the drivers accelerate their way down towards turn 1. So Theo Calvate up to then the second row of the grid with Antonio Albafetti now for company. Jamie Anderson will start on the third row alongside Adam Lachko, then Alia Koloc and Clemens Hecker, with the next row of the grid being Shane Brieton and then Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, and at the very back Anthony Zhenyak. So it's a new order, trying to catch up with what's happened to Zhenyak. And remember, this lap counting within the duration. So the clock starts to include the formation lap, 25 minutes plus a lap. So this brings the trucks down towards the Quechua tight corner. You can see Norbert Kish then ready to go alongside Sasha Lentz. And at the rear of the pack, Anthony Zhenyak. So let us see what it is that he can do here. So through they come, and Anthony Zhenyak, the French driver, starting at the rear of the field. You've got there the second row, you can see two of the star drivers, Theo Calvate lining up alongside Antonio Albafetti, so it's going to be an interesting fight between those two, that's for sure. But now, as they turn their way up through the final corners on this pace lap, very shortly we are going to be good to go. Sasha Lentz there just had a quick weave to generate a little bit more warmth into the tyres to get himself psyched up, ready to go. And so this second race weekend here from Misano, Norbert Kish very much the man to beat, but let's see whether he's going to be able to make it 3 out of 3 then as the trucks come up towards the completion of the pace lap. You can expect drama as they wriggle their way through that first sequence of corners, because the first chicane, car racing or truck racing, it's tight, it's twisty, it's a pinch point, and it's going to sort them out on this opening lap of race 3 of the season. So out of Caro, turn 14. Now the left-hand kink at 15, and then Misano itself, turn 16. The pace truck then now will go for the pit lane. We will be in business any moment then, because race 1 of 2 at Misano in the FIA ETRC Digital is set to get underway. The trucks accelerate now up towards the timing line. Norbert Kish in the red MAN on pole, the green and black MAN of Sasha Lentz lining up alongside. Who is it going to be that makes the best start? Let's see. We go racing. Clemens Hecker dives out of the draft. Good start being made by Theo Calvate as well. He gets the drop on Sasha Lentz, tries to get up on the outside of Norbert Kish. Kish leads though, down towards turn 1. Calvate goes second. He's going to go for the race lead. Almost found a gap. Lentz is off the road. He's not the only one. Albafetti is off as well there, look. Through turn 3, Adam Lachko getting hung out to dry. There's contact as Rodriguez elbows his way up alongside the Czech driver. Zhenyak off the road and back on again. Jamie Anderson sideways on the inside of Lentz. Albafetti gets forced out wide. All over the runoff. Rodriguez is mugged by Clemens Hecker as well. Zhenyak's all up the curb, but Norbert Kish has made the break at the moment. It seems he leads the pack. Hecker is still way out wide in the background. Sideways as he comes back onto the road. And so now the drivers accelerate down towards turn 8 at Quechua. You can see the way the top 2 getting away from the opposition already. There is Lentz third. Jamie Anderson doing a good job of going after him in 4th place now. Clemens Hecker is off the road again in 5th. And through they come. Adam Lachko on the back of Rodriguez now as they power their way out of the tight right. They're going through on the inside of Zhenyak, or back through on the inside of Zhenyak is Alia Koloc. And now they sprint their way once more up towards the approach to turn 13. But now the two race leaders virtually is one, aren't they? Because Calvate is on the back of Kish. There you've got Lentz ahead of Anderson. Next up is Rodriguez, who's forcing a way through on the opening lap of the race. Alia Koloc loses out there to Zhenyak, who gains a place and then goes off the road. So the French driver just hangs on to it. There's Lachko all sideways just ahead of him. Adam Lachko just hangs on to the position though. They're heading up towards the timing line, then up to the end of the opening lap here as they come by. So Norman Kish, it is doing his best to get away, and he has done so through the last couple of corners to the tune of over a second. That's a very sideways Shane Brieton, just avoids the pit wall then as they come through. So as they come then now past the pits down towards turn 1. Race leader, Norbert Kish, 1.8 seconds up on Theo Calvate. Looking back now from Jamie Anderson's truck there behind. You've got Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. So Rodriguez is in 5th, doing a good job here. Tussling on as the field accelerate now onto the approach to turns 4, 5 and 6. There is Rodriguez. In fact, out of turn 6 they have come now. And this is the long straight down towards Quechua at turn 8. And if anything, Lentz dropping away a little bit from the top 2. Anderson and then Rodriguez 4th and 5th. Jamie Anderson showing much better pace here, although he runs wide look than he did at the Hungaroring. There's Antonio Albafetti with work to do, fending off Clemens Hecker and Shane Brieton. So what's that line for Albafetti? Brieton's all sideways once again. It is Alia Koloc just up ahead of them. There is Anthony Zhenyak. He's got himself onto the back of Adam Lachko. Zhenyak, remember, is coming up to the rear of the grid. And Zhenyak is busy, that is for sure, as he comes now through turn 11. Stands on the brakes. Wriggles his way round the back of the grandstand. Approaches the turn 15 left. Now turn 16. Pit in on the left-hand side, look. And now ready to sprint onto the pit straight. Now, is this where Zhenyak makes his move against Lachko? Past the pits they come, down now towards turn 1. For the moment, hanging on to position is the Czech driver. And there is Zhenyak, goes through on the inside line, makes the move, goes wide. Lachko gets back on the inside and retakes the place. Now we've got Anthony Zhenyak, remember, up the back of the grid. He also had no Skype picture visible. You have to be seen as well by the race officials. Remember what happened in the Formula E Daniel Abt situation, getting a ringer in, so it's important they know who is driving the sim. With no Skype picture visible, so Zhenyak lost his time, so that's why he was put to the back of the grid. We have got Sasha Lentz under investigation for an inappropriate grid position, and we've also got number 25, which is Clemens Hecker, a warning for contact with Antonio Albafetti. So quite a lot going on at the moment, certainly with penalties throwing around and the race officials being busy. But that battle going on at the moment between Lachko and Zhenyak, delaying the two involved. It means that there, look, Jamie Anderson and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez are getting away up the road now. There is Jamie Anderson, he's hanging on at the moment, 4th place. And Sasha Lentz briefly was ahead of Theo Calvate. Calvate's got back ahead of him, but what has noticeably happened is how Norbert Kish has pulled away. They're coming towards us, the Anderson-Rodriguez battle. Those two now having their own private duel. So as the leader, singular now, Norbert Kish comes across the line. Through he goes. Jamie Anderson versus Ricardo Rodriguez there. Rodriguez closes again, look onto the back here of Jamie Anderson. Accelerates his way now out of turn 6, uses all of the curve on the outside line, but Rodriguez, good progress here from near the rear of the grid, 14 more minutes plus a lap still to go. Down that back straight they come, stand on the brakes, turn into the effectively hairpin of turn 8, Quechia. Jamie Anderson defends, there's Rodriguez then. He's right on the back of him, although actually, because possibly Jamie Anderson runs a little bit wider coming out of the corner, so the gap widens because better momentum was carried by Jamie Anderson there as he comes now up towards turn 10 at Tramonto. There's Alia Koloc keeping Antonio Albafetti at bay now. Now what can Albafetti do? Big frustration for Antonio this. He's done a lot of practice on the sim. He was on the second row of the grid, and yet dramas on the opening lap. He's a long way back in the order. There is Sasha Lentz crawling all over the back of Theo Calvate. Now this is for second place, so the German driver, Sasha Lentz, looks for a way past the French Championship front runner. Up towards the line they come. So Lentz down through turn 1, trying to force a mistake out of Theo Calvate. Norbert Kish looks as though he's on target for the race victory here because he's storming clear up front. Lentz looks to the inside line, door closed by Theo Calvate, runs a little bit wide through the corner, but Lentz can't quite tighten his line in time and get up the inside, so no way through there. Theo Calvate hangs on to position. Runs just a little wide, coming off turn 6 there. And this is going to give an opportunity, surely now, to Lentz to line up to have a long look on the inside as they come down towards Quechia, but no, he still can't find a way through. Now Calvate doing a good job of defending, but Norbert Kish is pulling away up front inexorably now. Nose to tail, second and third. Lentz sees a gap on the inside. There's half a gap. He's up the curb. Calvate fends him off. He's on the power now, on the run along that short straight once more. In a moment, I'll go to the right at Cavoni, turn 11. This is it. Run up on the left-hand side. Stand on the brakes in a moment. Get the truck set up for turn 12. And then the ever-tightening loop of 13 into 14 at Caro. So Calvate hangs on to that second place, but so busy is he that getting away up front is Norbert Kish, and that gap is growing all the time. So Calvate through in second spot, but Lentz crawling all over the back of him. Race leader then over the timing line, and he's out on his own here. Way clear is Norbert Kish. Theo Calvate is still there in second spot. And Rodriguez now ahead of Jamie Anderson. So that is the change for fourth place. And Rodriguez coming up from 10th on the grid. So he's making good progress out of all of this. Although Jamie Anderson is still fighting to try and retake the place then. So Jamie closing right up onto the back of the Portuguese driver. Behind them, look, as well, Anthony Zhenyak, having got past Lachko, is on a mission, and he's trying to close down that gap as well. Zhenyak could be the man to watch in that little group because he's closing, as you see there, Calvate versus number 30, Sasha Lentz. See in the background how Rodriguez and Anderson have got Zhenyak getting closer and closer and closer into 10 minutes plus a lap still to go. And And there is Norbert Kish heading towards us. Now, what's the gap? 4.4 seconds over Theo Calvate. Norbert Kish once more is looking dominant here. Calvate versus Sasha Lentz then. Theo Calvate, the young French driver. His father, very successful racer. As at the same time, indeed, was Sasha Lentz's father. The two parents race each other. Now it's up to the kids to do it. But Calvate keeping Sasha at bay for the moment. And they are, of course, second and third in the championship coming into this race, with Theo Calvate 2 points back on Sasha Lentz. So for points, he wants to stay ahead. And Jamie Anderson is fighting back. He retakes position against Rodriguez. They touch. Jamie goes sideways and goes off the road. And bounces off the circuit, back on again. So now we've got Rodriguez being told by race control to give the position back to Jamie Anderson, but that didn't quite play to his hands, did it really? Because Jamie made that mistake. So Anderson has had warnings for contact and track limits. There's also been a track limit warning for 17 Shane Brieton. And so now the Portuguese driver José Eduardo Rodriguez told to give his position back for pushing Jamie Anderson, but then Anderson went off the road. Now, while all that's been going on, Lentz is ahead of Calvate, as you see, so we've had that change for second position, and Sasha Lentz now possibly will be able to go after Norbert Kish and shake off the challenge of Theo Calvate. Let us see. Through they turn together. Accelerating their way then now down through the back part of the circuit, out of turn 9 and 10. And there is Norbert Kish ahead of us, but even though we know that Sasha Lentz is quick, and even though we know that he's on a mission, he's going to run out of time, isn't he, with 7.5 minutes still to go, plus the lap. They're going through is Theo Calvate then, mired back in third place. But what's impressive in this is that Calvate is not dropping away. He admittedly has lost that place, but he's staying on the tail of Lentz, desperately keen to try to find that position back again if he can. See if he can force an error out of Lentz. But of course, this is good for Sasha in the championship now, having gone through, having taken second spot. He's now looking at more points to stretch that margin over Lentz. So through they turn, second and third, but Norbert Kish is away and gone up the road. There's the Rodriguez versus Zhenyak battle. You can see on the graphic the speed building, what gear they're in, and there Zhenyak looks to the inside line. Remember, all race trucks governed to a maximum of 100 miles an hour. And Rodriguez, having worked his way through from the back, Zhenyak likewise goes a little bit wider. They're both ahead of Jamie Anderson now, so this is a real battle for 4th and 5th places. Jamie Anderson will be a bit frustrated, no doubt, but he's still displaying decent pace in all of this. So through they turn. There you've got Jamie Anderson, still showing decent speed, even if he is dropping off the back of that little group a bit. So they're going through. Here's Rodriguez ahead of Zhenyak. Now, are we going to see a change of position between these two? They both battled their way up the order. They are both running as one, and they are both on a mission. They're a long way back from the top 3, but honours are on now to be best of the rest. As a sideways Rodriguez leaves the door open. That's a chance for Zhenyak to try to get up the inside as they come now onto turn 15. He still can't quite take advantage of it, though. out of turn 16, running out of time as far as the clock is concerned here. So Kish, Lentz, Calvate, the top three. This is the fight for fourth as they come by. It is still Rodriguez just ahead of Zhenyak. And again, Rodriguez looks all feisty going down towards turn one. There's more movement, it seems, in his MAN than the similar rig behind him of Anthony Zhenyak. But Zhenyak now makes his move, can't do it, gets squeezed up the curve on the inside. So through they turn as one, and Zhenyak has got time in which to do this if he can find the width of the road. That's the tough thing now. Out wide goes Rodriguez. Now here, battle of champions lower down the order, because here you've got the battle between Adam Lachko, 7th, Antonio Albacete in 8th place. Neither of them running where they want to be. But remember, this is for the front row of the grid as far as race 2 is concerned. And right now, Albacete is good for pole position, isn't he? Down they come as one. Can Lachko stave him off? It'll be more points for Adam, but it would be the outside of the front row, not pole position on the inside, depending on where he finished. Through they run. Antonio Albacete in what is now, remember, the T-Sport Burnout entry. Lutz Burnout himself, a former champion in track racing. Antonio Albacete, very successful single-seater racer, got as far as Formula 3000 before many seasons spent in touring cars, and then came to track racing back in 03, but he drove for Opel, for BMW and for Alfa Romeo in the golden age of 2-litre super touring spec touring car racing. Now, flying lap is just over 2 minutes. They're going to be able to squeeze 2 plus the regulation lap in, aren't they, before the end here. Norbert Kish a long way clear. Zhenyak now being given a warning about track limits. Through there goes Albacete. You're looking at Zhenyak, who is hanging on to 5th place, but he can't yet find a way past Rodriguez. These messages about track limit abuse or contact being offered via TeamSpeak, which is how the race officials talk to the drivers in their headsets. So Anthony Zhenyak, another of the drivers on the grid to convert from car racing into track racing, but the runner-up in the French Formula 3 Championship, very successful in track racing in France as well as within the European Championship. He's been a race winner in Europe, but a double champion in France last year. Indeed, he was taking his 2nd crown. 18 and 19 are the 2 titles that he's won, and there he is now in pursuit of Rodriguez, but all of a sudden that gap seems to be markedly bigger, doesn't it? So Zhenyak no longer able to stay on the back of the Portuguese driver. There's Norbert Kish. He's on target, it seems, for a race win, and he's well clear right now. Clock ticks on down, through he comes. So Norbert Kish accelerates towards turn 15, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has a 4th warning for track limit, so that's a 30-second penalty for Rodriguez. So Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is 4th on the road, but 30 seconds are going to drop him a long, long way back, probably to last place, aren't they? So Norbert Kish leads, Lentz 2nd, Calvate 3rd, and Zhenyak is going to inherit 4th place on corrected times now. There is Sasha Lentz. The gap is down a bit to Norbert Kish. Does make you wonder what Sasha could have done had he not been stuck behind Theo Calvate for the first part of the race. However, in fairness to Norbert Kish, it could also be that Norbert is just relaxing his pace a little bit, making sure he gets to the end safely here without any other dramas befalling him before the end of the race. Way out wide goes Calvate. And so there is Lentz. 2nd place beckons for him. And through they turn with Theo Calvate there in third spot. So he's going to be on the podium. It's going to be another good result for him. He was fourth and second in the races at the Hungaroring, but what we are seeing is that the top three drivers there, largely, are the drivers to beat here, aren't they? Because Calvate is set for a podium once more, and this is for 7th and 8th, and Albafetti is ahead of Adam Lachko now. So Antonio Albafetti in the MAN, the cab-over truck, goes ahead of the bonneted Freightliner. That gives him an extra point, but it also puts Lachko on pole on the reversal of the grid. Bit of nudging going on as Lachko gets into the back of Albafetti now as they swing their way out of the corner. We've got the clock hitting 0, so one more lap now within the race for Norbert Kish as the leader. The gap 3.5 seconds over Lentz. There is Albafetti turning his way through next in the queue. In the background here, look, you can see Alia Koloc, who is set for 9th position, so won't benefit, nor will Clemens Hecker in the background of that reverse grid. Hecker's having his own moment. Lots of arm twirling going on inside the MAN. There is Alia Koloc going through. And it's Shane Brieton at the rear of the field. Shane having his first outing within the ETRC Digital Championship. There he is in the Apollo Tyres rig. Ultra smart. Debuted at the Nürburgring last year, but got some damage, so he only did the opening races of the weekend. So it is this battle for 4th place with the penalised Rodriguez ahead of Zhenyak, but Norbert Kish is on target for the race win, it seems. He's on his way towards the checkered flag, and Rodriguez all sideways trying to fend off the challenge. Now the gap's coming down, no question about it. Norbert Kish is being caught, but I think he'll tell us after the race that he was just being careful. And Sasha Lentz has got away from Calvate, hasn't he? So that gap has widened between 2nd and 3rd quite considerably. Down they turn once again, and there going through is Norbert Kish. He gets back onto the power now and makes the run up towards the turn 11 corner. So there you've got Kish coming through. And the checkered flag will be ready for Norbert Kish, although that gap is coming down and down and down. Lentz will be close, but I don't believe will be close enough to challenge before the end. Norbert Kish is a real master of all of this. He'll have everything under control. So it is going to be Norbert Kish then for the race win. Sasha Lentz set for 2nd. Theo Calvate set for 3rd. One more corner to go. And it is going to be 3 out of 3 for Norbert Kish. The dominant driver in the FIA ETRC Digital has done it again. Norbert Kish celebrates as he slides across the line. 2nd is Sasha Lentz. And 3rd, Theo Calvate. Now, who is going to be 4th on the road? Well, the answer is it's going to be Rodriguez, but Zhenyak will take 4th place. It's going to be a virtual dead heat between the two anyway, look, as they come over the timing line. But Rodriguez, with that penalty, is going to drop way, way down the order. He's going to put him to last position, I would offer you. And, of course, he doesn't benefit in any sense from the reverse grid. So he's going to have to do the hard work from the rear all over again. So that will put Zhenyak to 4th. 5th is going to be Jamie Anderson. 6th, Albafetti. 7th will be Lachko. 8th, provisionally, Alia Koloc. And so that's pole. And 9th, Clemens Hecker. So Alia Koloc, for the 2nd reverse grid race in a row, provisionally, will be on pole position. There is Clemens Hecker coming through. And Shane Brieton behind after... There he is, a spectacular race, the first experience really that he has had of racing on a sim. And Shane Brieton makes the run now up towards the timing line, ready to take the checkered flag, ready to come home to complete his first digital truck racing experience. But a great drive by Norbert Kish, and that gives him honours in race 1. So Norbert Kish has done it again, a spectacular first race, but Norbert from pole position able to get away, leave all the battles behind him. Fascinating duel between Sasha Lentz and Theo Calvate for 2nd place. Let's have a look then at the podium, the top 3 drivers, with the top step going the way of Norbert Kish. 2nd place to Sasha Lentz, And then for third position, Theo Calvate in the opening race here at Misano. So it's 3 out of 3 for Norbert Kish. The championship lead then increases. That gives him 60 points. It also increases the margin that Sasha Lentz has over Theo Calvate in the battle between those two. Let's try and grab Norbert Kish then from the waiting room into our channel. And Norby, well done. 3 out of 3. Dominant display. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Was it an easy race?
No, it's definitely more difficult than it was on the Hungaroring. I see the guys practiced a lot. I see Sasha and Antonio and also Theo drive quite a lot, and they did very, very good times. So yeah, it was much tighter. Already, if you look at the qualifying results, it was much tighter. And at the start, you know, I really had to defend a little bit against Theo, and then yeah, in the end it worked out so that I could get away a little bit. Meanwhile, Sasha and Theo was fighting behind me, so it was good for me.
What was going on towards the end? The gap was coming down. Was that Sasha's pace being good, or was that you just relaxing and being careful and making sure of a win?
Yeah, I think Sasha was very good in the end. Maybe I had a little bit more tire wear, but of course, yeah, I wasn't really pushing too hard towards the end of the race.
So now you've got to do it from 8th on the grid. Can you do 4 from 4?
Well, you know, I will definitely try. You know me, but we'll see. I'm sure it will be very, very difficult. But you know, we try. That's why we're here for, to win.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll talk again in what, half an hour's time. Norbert Kish, well done. 3 out of 3.
Thank you.
So Norbert Kish wins race 1 in the FIA ETRC Digital Championship, and a faultless display. Pole positions out of both of those Super Pole sessions. And then now we have the 3 race wins to add to those 2 poles as well for him. So not a wheel wrong. Our next guest will be Theo Calvate. Let's just have a quick look, though, at the Freightliner Bagheera squad, the Czech team. The bonneted truck is always a front runner, and Theo Calvate proving to be very rapid indeed this year. Theo, well done. Tough race then. You were set.
Yes. Nice race with Sasha. I'm happy with my 3rd place, so I'm looking forward for the second race.
You're going to be, of course, further back on the reverse grid for the next one. It's going to be tough coming through, and you've got Norbert starting behind you. So there's attacking and defending all at the same time.
Yes. I think we'll have a good race.
For sure. Well done. Congratulations, Theo Calvate then. 3rd place in race 1 here at Misano. And as Theo was talking to us, you can see our virtual showroom showing you what the Bagheera Racing Freightliner is like. One of the very few bonneted trucks these days. If you go back to the late 1980s, early 1990s, bonneted trucks were all the rage. But right now, the Freightliner is a rare bonneted truck, and Theo Calvate, one of the 3 drivers, and very much the star turn at the moment out of the 3 against Adam Lachko and Alia Koloch. Now let's have a quick word also with Sasha Lentz. Mindful that Sasha's English is ever improving, and we'll bring Sasha to the English stream. Say farewell to Theo Calvate. Sasha Lentz, a great drive. Congratulations. Well done on 2nd place.
Thank you very much.
It was a tough fight with you and Theo.
Yeah, I think it was a good fight. I hear not the start commando from the race control, and I lose directly. I don't know, 2-3 places, and then I have a good fight with Theo. I think it was a nice race for us, and I'm happy.
So now from the reverse grid, you will start 7th. Can you keep Norby behind you? Can you win our next race?
I don't know. We will see. I hope I can win the last race, but we will see. It's a race, and I don't know.
We'll see. It's going to be tough. Sasha Lentz, well done. Congratulations on 2nd place. Well done.
Thanks.
So Sasha Lentz, then, you see on our podium, taking 2nd place. Theo Calvate 3rd. Norbert Kish looking rather sinister in his black overalls and, as I keep saying, the dominant driver. 2 poles out of the 2 qualifying sessions, and now these 3 race wins. There is just no stopping him. So our next race will be coming up in round about 20 minutes time or so. The drivers, of course, now have a chance to go and grab a drink. They can reset their servers, and the officials need to go through all of the potential protests and discussions from race 1 and make sure that we have the declared result, because that obviously is crucial to what we will have for the grid for race 2. Remember that if this were real world racing, the 2 races would be separated by quite a lot of the day, and indeed also, of course, by other potential races on track. So the officials have their time now to make sure that everything is as it should be, and then we will be ready for our second race in a little time. The drivers will be back on track just before the hour, so we have around about 20 minutes worth of a break before our second race of the evening in this, our second round of the FIA ETRC Digital. But before we go to that, we will have a quick chance to focus on 1 or 2 of the other teams and drivers within the FIA ETRC. Antonio Albacete, we've been talking about as a star driver, and Antonio's truck virtual studio in a moment. Antonio is with us, and Antonio, that was a tough first race, big battle between you and Adam.
Yeah. Well, it was a little bit tough. The start was a little bit mess. I didn't know what happened. In the first corner, I just said, okay, I go straight because I don't know which way to go. And then in the second corner, something happens and I have a push and I go off, So I don't know. But yeah, it was good. I mean, I think I am learning a little bit, and I have a good read for the time practice and for the races, But the problem is that, if you push out, then it's very difficult to go again on the pace, But I'm happy because I think it will be very good for the spectators.
How are you adapting to a sim? Because lots of experienced racing drivers I've spoken to about this say that you don't have that feel through your backside coming from the race seat. You don't have that feel in the sim world.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you need the feel in your bottom, So it is quite difficult. And then, I mean, I've been racing single-seater touring cars, and it's quite difficult to get used to that. But I have a very good help from my son Tony, because he's used to do that.
Okay.
So he was putting all together, and then I just tried to go smoother and try to getting better and better. But I mean, it's quite good, I thought it will be worse because I tried another simulators and it was not so good. But this one is quite good, So I enjoy it.
Excellent. Well, second row of the grid for the second race. You might be able to win a race from there, surely.
I don't know. Probably we will try. We will try. So we will see what happens. Yep, sure.
Excellent. Good luck for race 2. Antonio Albacete, thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
So Antonio Albacete, who, as he says, is an experienced driver. He came from Formula Ford 1600. It seems like a lifetime ago, into Formula 3, Formula 3000, then had one career change to go off and do touring cars, and then a decade or so later, another career switch to go and race in trucks. Great success, 3 times a champion. And the last couple of years for Lutz Bernau's team, now this new merger between T-Sport and Lutz Bernau's squad. And it's going to be fascinating to see how Antonio progresses in the sim world, and indeed how this team adapts to real world racing when we are there a little later in the season. So we will have our second race, as I say, coming up in around about 20 minutes time. You don't want to miss that, because the reverse grid race, always exciting, with the race winner from race 1 starting 8th. Work to do to get through the pack. It was all drama in race 2 at the Hungaroring. Race 2 at Misano should be no different, coming up in a few minutes time. We'll see you then.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tire life. And FuelMax Gen 2. Exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tire life. And FuelMax Gen 2. Exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home.
Welcome back to Misano, our second weekend of the FIA ETRC Digital Championship. We have done race one. It's another victory for Norbert Kish, 2 pole positions out of the qualifying sessions and a race win every time they've hit the track. So it's 3 out of 3 for the dominant Hungarian driver. We're getting ready for race 2. It's the results of race 1 for the grid with the top 8 in reverse. So he's going to have some work to do this time around. But it's going to be fascinating to see what pans out this time. So Norbert Kish is going to be our man to watch in this second race of the evening, up from 8th on the grid. And the Freightliners, 3 of them on the track, ones to watch as well, because Adam Lachko is getting quicker bit by bit as he adapts to sim racing. Theo Calvate was on the podium in the first race. And Alia Koloc is going to be another driver to keep an eye to. Alia joins us ready for race 2. Still learning about sim truck racing, Alia, as well as real world track racing later on in the season. How are you finding the sim world?
I was driving simulators for quite some time, but the trucks is some harder. It's different, but it's practice.
For sure. And what about the style of racing? Because here you're against lots of very experienced real world track racers, aren't you?
Yes. It's just getting experience and trying to keep up with everybody. But it's all fun.
It's all fun. Track racing runs in the family. Your father was a very successful racer some years ago.
Yes, he was.
European champion, so it was inevitable that you were going to come into track racing, or did you consider a career in cars or a different discipline?
No, I was playing tennis for many years,
Wow.
and last year I stopped and started truck racing, and I enjoyed it very much, so now here I am.
Now, for this second race, you might be looking at pole position again because there are 1 or 2 penalties to take into account. So that's the ideal place to be if that does pay out, because you've got the run to the first corner and hopefully can keep the race lead.
Hopefully. Last time I was in pole position, it was interesting. So hopefully this time will be better.
When you've got a sim like this with drivers all around you, what do you have in terms of the equivalent of a mirror? Do you have another screen on your simulator showing you what's happening behind and around you?
No, I just have the one screen, and then there's people behind me who sees everything.
Okay. So you're reliant on their information. Alia, we'll let you go. Get ready for race 2. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Alia Koloc then gets ready for the second race of the evening. As I say, there are 3 of the Bagheera Racing Freightliners. You've got Adam Lachko, Theo Calvate, and now Alia as well. And it's going to be interesting to see how she gets on. More experience for all of these drivers, although sim experience, as she says, she is not short of. Now, let's turn our attention next to where we stand as far as the championship is concerned. Norbert Kish, it is now on 60 points with Sasha Lentz on 42. So he stretches the margin over Theo Calvate and then Anthony Zhenyak in 4th. Antonio Albafetti stays 5th. Jamie Anderson, though, now is up to 6th place. 7th is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, and he gains 2 points out of that race. Adam Lachko equal with him because he gains 6. Alia Koloc, 3 points. She is up to 6 now. Clemens Hecker gets 1 point to go to 4. So Norbert Kish is the championship leader from Sasha Lentz, Theo Calvate. Nothing changes there, but the margin between the top 2 is now 18 points as we get set for our second race of the evening. So the drivers don't need to worry about a qualifying session again. That, of course, was only to give you the grid for race 1. Now they will get set for the grid based on the race 1 results, but with that top 8 in reverse. Now, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is having quite a night of it. Penalised after qualifying because of not having Skype and TeamSpeak available. TeamSpeak is how the race officials talk to the drivers, and indeed the drivers talk to us. So that has to work. Skype is so the race officials can actually look at who is driving the sim. Think back a couple of weeks to Formula E and the great furore around Daniel Abt letting somebody else race for him. Well, it cost him his Audi factory drive, didn't it? So the officials here very convinced, very single-minded that they must have the nominated driver driving the sim, and to prove that, you've got to be visible on Skype so that they can drop in, have a look at who is behind the wheel. Can't put a crash helmet on and try and conceal your identity. You've got to be visible to the officials. So if you don't have Skype working, they can't prove it was you. You lose your lap times or you get a penalty. And that's what happened to Jose Eduardo Rodriguez at the start of the night. Well, now, courtesy of 4 track limit offences, he gets a 30-second penalty, which puts him way, 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 way down the order, going to the results of race 1, which will be confirmed in due course. But add 30 seconds to his race time and he's a long way back. So he's got the hard work to do all over again. Started race 1 at the back of the grid effectively with Anthony Zhenyak. He'll have to do it all over again once more when we get set to go racing. So the drivers will shortly, as I say, make their way out on track. We will have our Ford lap in a moment or two, which will give the official truck of the FIA ETRC, the Ford F-Max, its lap around the circuit. The grid will form, and then the Mercedes Actros, the pace truck, will get them ready to go as well. Norbert Kish starting 8th on the grid here. It's going to be another fascinating race in this digital championship. So the drivers are just about ready. Race control is ready, importantly, as well. And so out on track heads the Ford F-Max.
The show is on. Start your engines. FIA ETRC is ready to race.
the front row. Now, the second row of the grid should have Adam Lachko, and then alongside him is going to be Jamie Anderson. So there's been a change late between Lachko and Albafetti from how they crossed the line, but Antonio Albafetti lining up, as I say, on the front row of the grid. There in the background, you can see Adam Lachko's truck. So you've got the Freightliners on the inside for the first two rows. Jamie Anderson lining up on the outside of the second row of the grid. There he is. And then Anthony Zhenyak on the third row. It's going to be Theo Calvate alongside him. Then you've got Sasha Lentz and Norbert Kish behind as we get set for race 2. Again, it is 25 minutes plus a lap, and that includes the pace lap. And the pace truck in a moment will be brought forward. It will then lead them around, and we will be good to go then for our second race of the evening. Green lights will go onto the gantry, and that's the indication that we will be set to go. Behind Norbert Kish there, you see Clemens Hecker. And is this going to be an Antonio Albafetti victory starting at the front? Here comes the pace truck then to lead the field away. Past Zhenyak, then past Adam Lachko, and then between Alia Koloc and Antonio Albafetti from the front row of the grid. So the pace truck sets off, and to make the point again, this has a real-world driver. It's not put into the game. It's a driver just as the race trucks are who will drive this lap behind the wheel of the Mercedes Actros, the official pace truck of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, be it real world or digital. So through they come with Alia Koloc and Antonio Albafetti for the front of the grid. Looking in the background, there you've got Rodriguez in 9th, 10th on the grid is Clemens Hecker, and 11th on the grid is Shane Brieton. So Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, another of the young guns coming into truck racing, which is good to see, like Sasha Lentz, like Theo Calvate. He's going to have to do all the hard work all over again. So who is going to get the run down to turn 1? Who is it going to be that is able to make the jump as they accelerate down towards that first corner? Certainly the way that Antonio Albafetti's experience would suggest, he's going to be hard to beat. So look back from the pace truck there, got Jamie Anderson a little bit further back in the queue. And what can he do from there? He's going to try and fend off Adam Lachko. Down they come towards us then, with Norbert Kish starting 8th on the grid. How long before he hits the front, assuming he does hit the front? Norbert Kish, massively experienced driver, and although he's not starting on the front row, it won't be long surely before he makes progress. At the Hungaroring, he lagged back a little bit on the first lap, just waited to see, it seemed, what was going on around him, keep out of trouble, and then make a move. Let's see if it's going to be the same ploy here. So the end of the pace lap then coming up as they swing their way now through turn 14, out of the left-hand kink at 15, and then Misano curve itself onto the pit straight, and then we will be in business. Ready to go racing. Pole position, Alia Koloc then, alongside is Antonio Albafetti on the second row of the grid. You've got Adam Lachko, And alongside it is Jamie Anderson on the third row of the grid, then Anthony Zhenyak, and alongside Zhenyak in number 20 is the French driver Theo Calvate. So again, those two Frenchmen have got themselves together. We go racing, and there's contact straight away. Albafetti in the wall, bounces off. He's collected by, amongst others, Theo Calvate and Clemens Hecker. But mayhem right from the get-go, and it means that Alia Koloc leads as they drop down towards turn 1. But Antonio Albafetti's chances of a win have come to naught straight away because of contact on the run past the pits. That means that Norbert Kish is going up on the outside of Jamie Anderson and gaining places all the time. Zhenyak to the inside line, but Alia Koloc leads Adam Lachko as they come towards us. But drama then on the pit straight. Alia Koloc leads, Lachko's second, Zhenyak is third. And then in fourth place, it is Norbert Kish ahead of Jamie Anderson. The start is under investigation, not surprisingly. And now the drivers accelerate their way towards us with the battle on for third place. Look, where you've got Norbert Kish all over the back of Anthony Zhenyak, and they're in fifth, looking for a way past the pair is Jamie Anderson. Adam Lachko looking for a way past Alia Koloc as well as the two Freightliners, them, the Bagheera Racing teammates, round 1 and 2. Now, where in all of this is Theo Calvate? He's dropped a long, long way back. So towards us they come, and it's 3 for the lead because Zhenyak is on the back of Lachko, and knowing he's got the pace, eager to get through and in a hurry. Clemens Hecker is sideways in the background, but Zhenyak lines up to have a go on the inside of Lachko there. Can't find a way by. Towards us they come, with there Jamie Anderson pushing on. And a very, very sideways Koloc collides with Lachko. That delays both of them. Alia Koloc goes off the road and loses place after place after place. And now Zhenyak gets run out wide by Lachko. There's Jamie Anderson on the inside line in the MAN, making a bid for the race lead. They're going to be side by side into the last corner of the lap. And Zhenyak just comes out ahead. Now they've got to get past Albafetti's truck that's stationary by the side of the road. So the pit straight somewhat narrow. Norbert Kish is on the prowl look, as is Rodriguez. Kish fourth, about to go for third on the inside line. The cars, the trucks rather, accelerate their way through turns 1, 2 and 3. Anderson trying to defend from Norbert Kish. Norby goes to the inside line now, goes for third place. Is it going to work for him? Yes, it will, because he's got the inside line for the next corner. So Norbert Kish up to third, but he's on the outside line. And Jamie Anderson slows right down. Has he got a problem? Let's see. The truck slow, everybody slows, red flag. That's why, because the truck stationary by the side of the road means that we have a red flag. And we'll get a replay maybe of the start in due course, and also the race will go again. So everybody gets set for a second attempt at this, and the race officials, as I say, have put the red flag out and will go again. So chaos at the start. Antonio Albafetti was the real casualty. We'll see whether he's going to be able to take part in the rerun race that will be getting underway in a couple of moments' time, all being well. So that red flag stops the race, and race control will no doubt have a quick word with all of the drivers and then get set to have a second stab at race 2. But something different, a red flag, because normally you have damage turned off, and so it doesn't really matter if there's an incident. We've had sim racing championships where cars cartwheel and just carry on regardless, but proof of how real world this is. You end up in the pit wall, well, inevitably not going to drive away from that, are you? So the race has to be stopped to get the rig of Antonio Albafetti off the track, and then we'll try again for this second race from Misano. Antonio Albafetti would have been on the front row. As I say, whether the officials will let him go again remains to be seen, but that's to be decided in a few moments' time. And the clerk of the course, Rolf Werner, will go and have a word with the drivers about driving standards, no doubt, from what he's just been witnessing on the run down towards that first corner. So Antonio Albafetti in strife, and Alia Koloc towards the end of that opening lap was rather in the wars as well. So we have the restart coming up in 8 minutes' time. Chance for the drivers to have a think about what is going on, for race control to have a look at the evidence of what they've just been witnessing and to see if any penalties need to be applied, and to then get everybody re-gridded. So the drivers will be good to go shortly. We said it was going to be all action, as race 2 often is. And even in the digital world, the virtual world, there's still contact, still red flags can fly. So the drivers will get set, ready to go again. And we await news as to who is going to be there. Are there any non-starters? And indeed, the race duration is going to be decided upon as well. And the incident is to be resolved to do with servers as much as damage. So Antonio Albafetti with a server drama, we understand, which is why the incident happened, rather than it being contact from another driver per se. It was to do with servers. The Racing Drivers Book of Excuses has been expanded over the years, but what we are finding with sim racing is another chapter, things like the internet cutting out or a server issue or whatever it might be, but it's giving drivers a whole new set of excuses for all sorts of reasons. So Antonio Albafetti will be good to go, we hope, for that restart. And it might be that while we get set, we can have another short break just while the drivers get themselves ready for race 2 here from Misano.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tire life. And FuelMax Gen 2. Exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
Welcome back then to Misano. We're getting ready again for race 2 of the evening. We've had dramas out on track and dramas with servers as well. So drivers are being able to regrid, and we'll go again with the full grid, the full distance, 25 minutes plus a lap. And we are just about to get going once more because the pace truck, the Mercedes Actros, leads them away. Now, what I don't see is Alia Koloc on that grid. So it might be that we do have one or two gaps. Ah, there she is in the pit lane. So that should have been the pole position truck. Is she going to be allowed out to join in at the back? Let's check as the pace truck there turns now through turns 1, 2 and 3. The Variante del Parco being turn 3. The clock starts at the 25-minute mark and includes the pace lap, but then we add on another racing lap at the very end, if you like. So what you lose with the pace lap in the duration, you add on as the so-called regulation lap at the very end. So Antonio Albafetti then now gets the front row to himself, but Adam Lachko is going to be one to watch on the second row. Alia Koloc did lead for much of the opening lap of the race, but then had dramas towards turn 13, got all crossed up and suffered some damage as a consequence. So she will now start at the back. So she has joined in from the pit lane, but starts at the rear of the field. Antonio Albacete then perhaps well placed, but the danger here again is Norbert Kish. Theo Calvate is another one on his toes. Is he on the grid? Let me check. Yes, he is. And also, of course, Sasha Lentz. So quick drivers coming through from further back. Getting a report already of contact between Jamie Anderson and Adam Lachko, but as the trucks come towards us. Now there is Alia Koloc coming through to the front. Now normally, in real world racing, if you are last away, you can't do that. We'll wait and see whether the officials are happy with her doing that. But in real world racing, you would get a penalty if you did not start at the back, having been, for example, last out of the pit lane. So Alia may be in hot water for that. We'll wait and see. She's back on the front row of the grid anyway. Keep an eye to that. So the trucks now come towards us with Antonio Albacete on the outside. This is Alia Koloc's view, and Jamie Anderson. Getting up alongside. So is it going to be a Norbert Kish victory again? We'll find out very shortly. The pace truck then now starts to bring the field up through turn 15. And here they come, down towards the pit-in approach. So we are set to go racing. The officials ready to have a look at, hopefully this time, a clean start, 25 minutes and counting, but including this lap, and then there's the extra one at the end of the time to compensate. Up to the gantry, everybody rumbles towards the start of race 2 at Misano. Jamie Anderson gets into the back of Antonio Albacete, who gets all sideways. He clips the back of Adam Lachko's rig, but Lachko is going to just about get the advantage on the outside line. Look, leans on Alia Koloc as they go down towards turn 1. Lachko gets run out a little bit wide. Jamie Anderson skips off the road, tries to find clear real estate. He finds the race lead, delays Lachko. Here comes Koloc up the inside line. Adam Lachko loses heaps of places as a consequence of all of that. Lachko then in the body of the field, so much for being able to make good his escape. He's hung out to dry on the outside as there. Kish gets up the inside of Lentz. Albacete tries to level with Zhenyak. Off the road goes Clements Hacker. And Zhenyak is all sideways there, look, as they scrabble their way out for the first time of turn number 6. Jamie Anderson versus Alia Koloc now. Battle is on. Through they come. And it's side by side. Look, Jamie Anderson is about to go through and they get the advantage, coming now down to turn 8. There is Theo Calvate behind Albacete, but ahead of Kish, who gets forced out wide. Where's Sasha Lentz? Lentz gets a good hole shot on the inside line, trying to get up alongside the red MAN here. But right now, it is Norbert Kish just being able to defend that place. And Norby has still got a lot of work to do to try to get through the pack. So the race leader trying to get away now is Jamie Anderson. Tini Zhenyak up into second spot. Antonio Albacete is third as they run towards us. Alia Koloc is fourth. In fifth place is Calvate. Sixth is Kish. Ahead of Lentz significantly. And now Norby makes his move on the inside line here. Coming up towards turn 14. Is he going to be able to do it? Let's see. Heading up towards the hairpin. Kish on the inside line, but Theo Calvate just able to cut across and defend as they come now up towards the timing line once more. So past the pits they will run in a moment. There you've got Alia Koloc losing out to Theo Calvate, now losing out to Norbert Kish, who comes through as well. Clements Hacker goes by, way wide also. Shane Brieton is next in the queue. And Adam Lachko is a long way adrift of everybody after a really disappointing first lap. So, race leaders come over the timing line. End of lap 1. Jamie Anderson leads the way. Anthony Zhenyak is on his tail. Albacete running in third place of Koloc, losing out to Lentz. Now as up the road you can see Kish crawling all over the back of Theo Calvate. Another place lost. That's Rodriguez going through. So Jamie Anderson it is, up front for the moment. And there, Koloch versus Rodriguez, absolutely side by side. They battle their way on and off the curb. Alia Koloch giving as good as she gets in this. She might be being roughed up a little bit, but she's a feisty racer and fights back. So the former tennis star comes down towards us with Lentz catching Kish because he's stuck behind Calvate, because Calvate is stuck behind Albufetti. Third, fourth, fifth and sixth in this battle pack. Race leaders then now coming up towards turn 10 out of Tramonto. And there, Calvate up the inside of Albufetti, and he's done it, and now he tries to get away also. So Theo Calvate gets ahead of the Spanish driver. He wants Albufetti to get between him and Kish and try and delay the Hungarian, give him a bit of breathing space, but it doesn't work because Kish will follow him through, I think, on the inside. He's going to try anyway. Albufetti there levels on the outside line. Out of turn 11 they come. Calvate, Albufetti, Kish. Norbert Kish goes through on the inside, picks up the place. So that puts him fourth, and he's about to go for third as well, isn't he? Because Calvate is really wide. It's all a bit scrappy. And up the road, Zhenyak is all over the back of Jamie Anderson and desperately trying to find a way by before this chasing pack gets up onto his tail. The start and the first lap under investigation from race control. Over the timing line now comes the leading gaggle with Jamie Anderson there now, having done 2 laps, keeping Zhenyak at bay. There going through is Sasha Lentz on the tail of Albufetti, so 5th and 6th they run. Look back from Calvate now. There's Norbert Kish behind, hard at work. And Norbert Kish closing a little bit further, hits the brakes now, sets the rig up for turns 4 and 5. Clock ticks on down, and all the time that Norbert Kish is stuck behind Calvate, it suggests life is going to be even tougher to find a way by, because these two are losing touch with the race leaders. Jamie Anderson versus Anthony Zhenyak for race honours at the moment. Look in the background, Albufetti's under attack from Lentz. And Sasha Lentz, even though he's a sim rookie, was really good on the sim at the Hungaroring. We're getting track limit warnings now. One of them is being offered to Jamie Anderson. The other is to Anthony Zhenyak. So the drivers who run first and second, both now being warned about track limits. There they are. Theo Calvate runs third. Now, can Calvate close? If he can, he will take Kish with him. Heading into turn 14 now. There you've got the Freightliner ahead of the MAN. Norbert Kish, we know he's a quick driver, and he's inching up onto the back there, look, of number 20. Theo Calvate rides a little bit wider up the curb. Now turns in. Right with him is Norbert Kish. Then the next pair, Albufetti, just ahead of Lentz. What about Adam Lachko's progress? Well, progress really is not the word, I'm afraid, because he's still in last position as the leaders come across the line. They're pairing off, and so now there, look, is Calvate versus Kish. This is the 3rd position. We've got 3 in a line pretty much for 5th, I should say, 5th, 6th and 7th behind. But right now, Calvate versus Kish as they wriggle through together. Theo Calvate sits in the middle of the road, but brakes late and the truck squirms a little bit. Is that going to compromise the exit from turn 5 now? Let's see. He's up the curb, bounces across Norbert Kish, and now accelerates his way once again down towards the kink that brings him onto this long, fast section of the circuit. Look back from Calvate's Freightliner. There is Kish behind him. Norbert Kish now tries to make the move, tries to get up alongside on the inside for turn 8, but he's not going to be able to find a way by there. Just not enough room. Albufetti, however, in the background, look, he's keeping Lentz and Rodriguez at bay. So still frustrating all of this for the Spanish driver. He can't find a way through. Jamie Anderson thus far with the fastest lap of the race to his credit as he tries to break away from Anthony Zhenyak. There they are then, the top 2. And Jamie Anderson who was in good form, but unlucky at the Hungaroring, looking as though this could well be the night he scores a maiden victory in the European Championship. Let's see, because right now he leads the way. Jamie Anderson had a 9th and a 7th at the Hungaroring as you look at Albacete, and there is a 10-second penalty being given to Anthony Zhenyak for an inaccurate grid position. So there he is, second on the road, but Zhenyak is being given a 10-second penalty. Over the timing line they come now. So Zhenyak plus 10, where is that going to drop him to? Leaders go by, look back from Calvate's truck. He wants to stay close to his fellow countrymen because that's going to give him second position on the amended times, seemingly. And there, right on his tail, is Norbert Kish. These two hard at it. Big battle this for third place. Kish, again, looks to the inside line, but I reckon these two are catching the two ahead of them now. Norbert Kish dives for the inside line. Is he going to be able to find a way by? Let's see. As they come up towards us, you can see the way that Zhenyak is crawling all over the back of Jamie Anderson. You can see the way that Calvate is closing all the while. The gap was way over 3 seconds a little while ago. It's now just over 2.5, and Calvate taking Kish with him. And Jamie Anderson is also being given a penalty, we understand, for corner cutting with an advantage and not giving back the advantage. So 30-second penalty for Jamie Anderson and 10 for Zhenyak. What you're looking at behind with Calvate and Kish, that's really the lead battle now. So there they are. Jamie Anderson plus 30 seconds. And also we're getting a warning for track limit abuse to Rodriguez, but that's the minor penalty in comparison with what the leaders are suffering right now. So not only are Calvate and Kish catching, but they're also in the real world here, at corrected times, arguing over the race lead with only 11 more minutes to go. Theo Calvate leads Norbert Kish, so this is the battle for race honours. Zhenyak can't pull away by 10 seconds because he's stuck behind Jamie Anderson. Through they turn, out of turn 15 now. Heading up towards the end of a lap. And as they come through, this will put 6 in the book. Jamie Anderson's advantage on the road is almost immaterial now. Zhenyak second, and look at Calvate. This is where Kish starts to mount the challenge. Theo Calvate moves across, squeezes. Kish keeps on coming. Down towards turn 1. Rumbles his way up onto the curb on the outside line. Dive into the braking zone. Calvate stays ahead for the moment. Albacete being given a warning about track limits as well now, but right now Calvate here is fighting on the road for third, but in the real corrective situation for a race win and looking to try to be the first person to defeat Norbert Kish all season. But he goes wide, and this is Kish's chance. Easily done on the inside line. He's done it, he's gone through. So much for Calvate's defence, but he's going to fight back here going into turn 6. He does it, but he goes out wide again. He's going to quickly dive across the road. Can he do it? Can he defend? Here comes Norbert Kish. He'll have the inside line for the next corner. Has Calvate got the drag in a straight line? 10 minutes plus a lap to go now. Kish on the inside line. He's going to brake as late as he dares. He's going to go through. Can Calvate get the switch back? He can, but a tap in the tail for Kish. He's done it. He's up alongside, and he's gone back through. Theo Calvate retakes the place. Great racing this. Kish and Calvate warned about track limit, but it's a great battle that they are having. Calvate understeers a little bit towards the outside line, but for the moment, Norbert Kish not able to find a way through. Race leaders then accelerate their way once again towards the turn 14-15 approach. And it's another lap of defence then for Theo Calvate. A flying lap at the moment is just over 2 minutes. We've got 9 minutes plus a lap still to go. Kish crawling all over the back of Calvate. Zhenyak, for the moment, has just fallen away ever so slightly from the back of the race leader, almost as though he's just having a breather, but Zhenyak needs to push on here. That 30-second penalty for Jamie Anderson is going to drop him a long way down the order, though. There is Norbert Kish to the outside line. That's the outside for turn 1, it's the inside for turn 2, it's the outside for turn 3, but he's got the job done. Norbert Kish goes through. Can Calvate fight back? Let's see, he needs the inside line here. Kish covers it, gets a bash in the back from Calvate, who goes off the road. Rodriguez, who is 6th, incidentally, has just been given a second warning about track limits. But there, Albafetti, Rodriguez and Lentz. Sasha Lentz, he's struggling in this race. He's not making the progress that you'd anticipate, is he? Norbert Kish then, up into 3rd place, but on corrected times, that's going to be the race lead here. It's 8/10 between the top 2, and it is 3/10 between 1st and 3rd. So Kish will inherit the win. As you look at Albafetti versus Rodriguez in this Iberian battle. Spaniard ahead of the Portuguese driver, coming out of turn 8 now. The Reboconal MAN on the back of the T-Sport Bernau entry and ahead of the SL Truck Sport rig in the hands of Sasha Lentz. And there, look, Rodriguez brakes late, the truck squirms, dances around the road. Under the gantry they go, and now down towards the approach to turn 11. The quick corner is Curvoni. And now number 29 is being given a warning for contact, and that's Alia Koloc. In Alia's case, she's got a fair way back anyway, in 8th position ahead of Clemens Hecker and Shane Brieton, with Adam Lachko still circulating, but a very distant 11th, as though he suffered big damage at the start. Right, the race leaders come up over the line. Zhenyak mounting another challenge now against Jamie Anderson. And Norbert Kish, 3rd on the road. Now, does he know about the penalty for those two? And is he just quite content to sit there? What about Calvate? Can he fight back and do anything about him in the remaining 6.5 minutes plus a lap? There is Zhenyak, still pressing on. And off the road is Albafetti, off the road is Rodriguez, and way out wide in the background is Antonio Albafetti. Norbert Kish, incidentally, now has done the fastest lap of the race. So Norbert Kish is on a mission, and he means business. He's going to try and catch, he wants to win on the road if he can. He's going to try and catch the Anderson-Zhenyak battle. Through they come once again. Albafetti ahead of Lentz then, who benefits from that turn 1 skirmish and puts himself up ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. More investigations. Albafetti, Lentz and Rodriguez for what we saw at turn 1. Albafetti brakes late going into turn 8. The truck almost gets away underneath him, but he's on the power now. Look back from Lentz's truck there, closing is Rodriguez, but by the time he hits the brakes, he's got to stand on them with such force that he scrubs off all the momentum. And remember, it's hard to get a big truck like this back up to proper speed. They're all governed to 100 miles an hour. They don't have amazing acceleration, good power to weight, but they are quick, but you've got to factor the weight in. So keeping the momentum up is important. 5 minutes to go plus a lap as Albafetti and Lentz go through, both ahead of Rodriguez now. Lentz is sideways, he presses on. And there, up towards the completion of the lap comes a curve hopping Albafetti. And these are the race leaders, and you can see that Calvate has certainly dropped a long way back from Kish, but just wondering if Norbert gets involved in this battle and gets delayed, will Teo Calvate be able to catch back up once more? There is Zhenyak ahead. But on the amended result, give him, what penalty? 10 seconds. He'll drop back behind Calvate. Kish makes a move to the inside. The door is open. He's going to go through. Norbert Kish through on the inside line, up into 2nd position now. Jamie Anderson on the road, leads the way. Norbert Kish is going to get ahead of him, though. So there is Jamie Anderson. Zhenyak 3rd. Is he going to be caught by Calvate? And what sort of defence against Kish can Jamie put up in the race lead on the road at any rate? Brake hard now. Is this going to concertina the leading quartet? Will this now bring Calvate 4th back into the mix? Through they turn. Jamie Anderson is doing a good job. He's hanging on in there. He's managed to fight off the challenge of Anthony Zhenyak. Can he do the same thing to Norbert Kish now? Through they turn almost as one. A sideways Zhenyak running third on the road. And where will that 10 seconds put him? It should still keep him ahead of Albafetti, in fact. So Zhenyak will be fourth behind Calvate provisionally. Make that third, because then you take Anderson out of the mix. Give him 30 seconds. He's going to be behind Koloc. So Jamie Anderson's rear view there shows Norbert Kish, shows Zhenyak, and Calvate's almost with them as the Freightliner brakes hard now, coming up through turn 14, out of Caro, on towards 15 and up to Misano, the corner at the end of the lap. Kish running out of options. He's going to be able to get 3 more laps out of this potentially. There's another track limit warning going to Albafetti in the meantime, and there are the race leaders coming up over the line. So Jamie Anderson goes through ahead of Norbert Kish. The gap between them is half a second, if that. Another track limit warning, this time to Sasha Lentz. There he is, about to go ahead of Albafetti as they come across the line now. Behind the pair is Rodriguez, down towards turn 1. On the outside line is Albafetti. Is he going to be able to gain a place? Not at 1, he's not, nor at 2. But he might skip the curb, he does, and that's going to give him an advantage. You saw it plainly there, off the road and back on again, and that's given him a place. Albafetti on the power, the bat wags, off the road also goes Rodriguez. And there, just ahead of the pair of them is Sasha Lentz as they come now up through turns 4 and 5. So now that he's ahead, Sasha Lentz possibly escaping up the road here. Looks like he might be able to get away. So he's on the power, he's pulling away from the opposition, and he comes now down towards turn 8 with Albafetti going defensive and keeping Rodriguez at bay. So the Iberian battle persists, it's just that it's now behind Lentz rather than ahead of it. And look across the circuit, the leading quartet is as one. So Jamie Anderson is still there, still in charge, but for how much longer? Albafetti goes through on the tail here of Sasha Lentz, but there Norbert Kish on the tail of Jamie Anderson going for the race lead. So the clock will hit 0 on the next lap, and then there is one more. So there is what you see of this lap and 2 others, and Zhenyak gets sideways. Calvate's got a chance here. Jamie Anderson still leads the way. Norbert Kish has a look. Now Norby might be being very sensible and just sitting there, ready to inherit the win, assuming he knows about the penalty. Here they come, up towards the line. Into turn 1. So the clock will hit 0 on this lap, so there's this and one more. And Jamie Anderson still holds sway. He's fended off the challenge of Zhenyak. He's just keeping, as best he can, the challenge of Kish behind him. Trouble is, he's going to be given this penalty, which is why he got the lead in the first place, by being off the road and back on again. So they come now up over the curb, out of turn 5. This is 6, the left-hander. And then speed builds as they run down towards Quetja once more. So Kish lining up for the inside line. Can't do it, goes to the outside line. Here comes Zhenyak back into the mix. What about Calvate? He's looking for a way by as well. Having a nibble at the back of Zhenyak's MAN. Can he get his nose up the inside? Let's see. Here they come. Zhenyak on the inside line. Calvate on the outside. Is he going to be able to go by? Not on the outside, he's not. But what Calvate needs is to get the undercut and try and move to the inside, which he now does. He's got the inside line for the next sequence of corners. So Calvate now has a chance to challenge. This should give him third on the road, and if he can do it before Kish gets the lead, he might have a chance to challenge the Hungarian. Norby looks to the inside of Anderson. Calvate still can't dislodge Zhenyak. Great racing on the road. It's a shame all the penalties are slightly affecting all of this, but even so, it's a good effort by everybody involved, especially Jamie Anderson, to hang on for as long as he can to the race lead here. Calvate up the inside of Zhenyak. Contact between the two. Does he go by? Let's see. Not yet, he hasn't. And he still can't do it. Now, one more lap to run any moment. Calvate through on the inside line. Surely he's going to do it this time. Anderson leads on the road. Kish second. Calvate's done it. He gets himself ahead of Zhenyak. And Norbert Kish is on the attack once again. He goes to the outside of Jamie Anderson, down at turn 1. We're on the last lap of the race, and Norbert Kish wants to win on the road as well as on corrected time. But if he gets stuck behind Anderson, Calvate, who uses far less curb at turn 2 than the leaders do, might just catch up to him. This is Kish's chance. He's going to do it. Anderson deep into turn 4. Norbert Kish will go through, and he picks up the lead on the last lap here in Italy. Or does he? Because Jamie Anderson goes back through at turn 6, doesn't run out wide, tries to move across and cover the line. Theo Calvate, this is your big moment. Can you get back up with Norbert Kish? The answer seemingly is yes. So as Norbert Kish is busy attacking, Calvate might be able to make a challenge. Yes, on the inside was there contact. Norbert Kish gets fired out wide. Calvate doesn't force the issue. I think there was contact and he gave the place backed out of it. So Jamie Anderson is still ahead. Norbert Kish challenges once more. Calvate right with him as now Norbert Kish goes deep, coming up towards turn 9 and 10. Can Calvate challenge? Kish on the attack against Jamie Anderson. Norbert Kish looks to the inside, can't do it. Theo Calvate there behind him. So Jamie Anderson still holds on. Theo Calvate trying to pick up the pieces if anything untoward happens to Norbert Kish ahead of him. Kish on the back of, almost in the back of Anderson, who tries to move across and defend. Norbert Kish has got 2 corners to go. Here comes Calvate. He's round the outside. Look at turn 14. That's the inside for 15. Is he going to stand his ground? He's not. He drops back. So Jamie Anderson looks like he's going to win on the road, but Norbert Kish will inherit position as they come up towards the line. Jamie Anderson takes the honours on the track, but Norbert Kish will win yet again in the FIA ETRC Digital Championship. Across in second place is going to be Theo Calvate, and then let's see for third on the road. The next one through will be Anthony Zhenyak. There, Theo Calvate celebrates with the donuts, but Zhenyak also, don't forget, given a penalty. So he has disconnected, in fact, Zhenyak, so that means that third over the line is Sasha Lentz. Fourth is going to be Rodriguez. Then it'll be Albacete for 5th place. And Alia Koloc 6th, and Jamie Anderson's 30 seconds will put him behind Alia Koloc there. So everybody moves up one. Jamie Anderson is going to be 7th. Who's 8th? Well, it would have been Zhenyak, but he's disconnected. So that's going to put Clemens Hecker up into 8th, I would propose. 9th will be Adam Lachko, and Shane Brieton will round out the top 10. So, a disconnection for Zhenyak and a win again for Norbert Kish. So, he's done another exceptional job. And Norbert Kish, the winner of every race thus far. But Jamie Anderson, you have to feel a bit of sympathy for. OK, he went off the road to get the lead, but the way that he defended pretty much all the way through that race was impressive. But in the end, to no avail. Some crude math suggesting that 8th is where he will end up. Sorry, 7th is where he will end up on the corrected times. So there, Jamie Anderson and Norbert Kish head to the pit lane. So, penalties again, great racing again, and it's that man, Norbert Kish, that comes out on top for yet another victory. Although, this time at least, beaten on the track, courtesy of the efforts of Jamie Anderson. So, Jamie wins on the road, but he got that penalty for gaining an advantage and not giving it back. So, let's check out the podium then at the end of race 2 here at Misano. Norbert Kish it is who takes the race win from Theo Calvate, and Sasha Lentz in third place. The same order, the same top three as we had in the reverse grid race at the Hungaroring. So Norbert Kish has done it again. Let's talk to the man of the moment, because Norbert Kish joins us in the commentary room. Norby, well done. Another win, although this time not winning on the track.
Oh, did I?
Yep, you took the win because Jamie got a penalty for gaining an advantage at the first corner and not giving it back. So second over the line, but you're the winner. Well done.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Well, I didn't know, so this is
okay.
New for me, so I wasn't aware. Yeah, well, happy then. Well, I mean, it's a second place for me. It was a good race. I mean, Jamie did a very good job defending.
Yeah.
I haven't really had much time to attack, but I give it a good go a couple of times, and I think maybe I was a little bit in front of him as well, but I didn't work out. I tried to be careful, not to cause an incident, or make overtake that is not fair, So I tried to be careful, So I ended up second. Well, the penalty, it's a win. Yeah, it's surprise.
A good surprise. I was wondering in the race whether you had any way of knowing about these penalties, and if you were just being sensible and sitting behind Jamie. But you've answered it. You didn't know, so you were pushing all the way.
No, actually, we have the race control radio kind of. So Rolf is talking to us and saying all these penalties and everything. But he's saying the starting numbers, and I'm not all that familiar, with everyone's starting number. This is a new season starting.
Sure,
maybe some people changing their starting number, and just as well as I do. So I didn't know that Jamie had a penalty.
Well, it's a very impressive start to the championship, isn't it, for you? 2 pole positions and now 4 race wins. You can't ask for any more than that.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm really happy about it. I was also practicing, I was working for it.
Yeah.
And it's I'm really happy that with my new track, with this good-looking track race team, new MAN, I can be there in front. So yeah, I'm really thankful for the team that we're doing this whole new project, and that we can be there, for this seasons in the re-racing, with a competitive package. So yeah, I'm really happy for these wins for the team. It's the year started off really bad, with the coronavirus and everything, but now it's looking better and better.
Well, congratulations. Time to go and celebrate. Norbert Kish, well done.
Thank you.
So Norbert Kish wins again, albeit, as you've just heard, a surprised winner this time. Wasn't aware of the penalty for specifically Jamie Anderson. We'll try to get Jamie. He may well be off to drown his sorrows, but it was a good drive by Theo Calvate, and Theo joins us for second place because of Jamie's penalty. So Theo, it was a busy race for you. Second place, well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Were you aware of Jamie's penalty, or were you so focused on fighting on the track?
Yes. I had great battles with Norby. The race was so intense. So I'm really happy to represent Bugira with those races. So now I can't wait to be able to race two pilots in real life, and well, I'm happy.
Do you feel that with every sim race that you've done so far, the 4 races, you are getting faster and stronger and more confident?
Yes. Ready.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So maybe next time a win.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, I hope.
We hope. Theo, well done. Congratulations on second in race 2 at Misano. Well done.
Thanks again.
So we'll let Theo Calvate leave us, and he will perhaps head to the French room where he can go and talk to his father, Fabien, who is the French commentator on the championship, and of course a former track racing champion himself. So a great race to watch, and you've got to feel, as I say, for Jamie Anderson, he did so good a job to defend, but by going off the road to gain the advantage early on and not giving it back, well, the race officials have looked at it and decided that it is an advantage he gained he shouldn't, so it goes against him. Let's check out how the championship looks then at the end of our second race here. Norbert Kish is going to be an even more dominant on 22. Jamie Anderson has 18. Adam Lachko now on 14. Really struggling, it seems, in the sim world. Alia Koloc has 12 and Clemens Hecker next on 7. But Norbert Kish just storming away from the rest of them. So it has been another great performance by Norbert Kish, and he leaves a virtual Misano as the championship leader with a full house of 2 poles and 4 race wins. Our next stop within the FIA ETRC will be on the 21st of June at the Slovakia ring, and it's going to be fascinating to see there how people adapt in the meantime with more practice to the sim world, and indeed whether when we get to a virtual Slovakia anybody can stop Norbert Kish. 2 qualifying sessions and 2 pole positions, 4 races and 4 wins for the unstoppable Norbert Kish. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time from the Slovakia ring. For now, from David Addison, goodbye.